Hello and welcome to AI That Works, brought to you by AI Economy. My name is Sarah Balmer, and today I am so excited to be bringing you Charlie Hills. Charlie, who is based in the UK, has just been voted #1 on LinkedIn's highest growth for an individual over the past year. So his growth has really superseded anybody else on the platform globally. So the man is well equipped to take us through how he develops content on LinkedIn to achieve success. He has been across AI since the dawn of time, and he brings to us a whole lot of practical skills, tips, and tricks that will help you succeed in your business. So without further ado, let's welcome Charlie Hills. So Charlie, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I would love to hear more about you and your AI journey. So let's start from the beginning. How did Charlie Hills end up in AI land?
Yeah, good question, Sarah. Firstly, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. But yeah, I ended up in AI land actually before ChatGPT. So I was studying at university in 2021. I was just graduating, and I wrote my dissertation on the impact of AI in customer loyalty in the retail industry. And so I knew AI was on the horizon even before these large language models came out, but I really knew I wanted to invest myself into that because I studied marketing and management, but AI seemed to be like the big next thing that was coming the next 5 to 10 years. So I wrote my dissertation. It was good fun, learning about like the definitions of AI and kind of like the foundations. So when ChatGPT came out, I was like, whoa, this is literally perfect. This is what I've been waiting for. And yeah, I mean, at that time I was freelancing and I was using it for almost everything. And I'm sure most of the world was starting to come to terms with how powerful this was. And it was pretty bad at the start. In fact, I remember one of the clients I was working with, I think their engagement rates plummeted quite significantly by me managing their social media because I was writing everything with AI. Every opportunity, I used it. So, I mean, my freelancing career didn't last too long, as you can imagine, as a result of that. And I soon found myself working full time. And in the companies I was working for, no one really was using ChatGPT. Well, not effectively, at least. And I knew that I was kind of driving innovation from the ground up rather than it coming from upper management. And I was like, wait a minute, like, why aren't these people more excited about these AI tools and workflows I'm talking about? So I knew I had to find a creative outlet for my AI passion. And that's when I started posting to LinkedIn. This was in like October of 2023. And I don't really count those 3 to 4 months of in my LinkedIn growth because of posting and ghosting. I was just kind of like experimenting with the platform, just testing out different things. And it wasn't until January 2024 when I really went in on it. Like every single day I was posting, trying to stay relevant in the feed. And that really changed everything from there on out. And yeah, I distinctly remember Christmas Day in 2023, I sat down and I strategized my like LinkedIn strategy and how I was going to incorporate AI into that all. So yeah, that's kind of me.
Forward thinking of you, and look, it's paid off so much. You've got the LinkedIn growth #1 grow over the past 12 months award.
Yeah, well, I mean, so yeah, that's via Favicon on the leaderboards, and that changes quite frequently. But yeah, I am #1 in the world for LinkedIn growth at the minute, which is crazy. Thank you.
And for people who don't quite understand, because I've been banging on to anyone who will listen, that LinkedIn is pretty unforgiving in the kind of current climate. It's one thing to create content and, have the human in the loop while you're creating the content, but LinkedIn expects you to show up at least for 60 minutes every day. How have you managed to do that? I think you mentioned you've gone from like 11,000 or 9,000 to 126,000. I just checked over the course of a very short period of time. How does somebody who has very low followership follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, to be honest. It's so
Yeah.
nuanced and it's like dependent on you and your brand. But I think when I started, I was quite fortunate. January 2024, AI was booming on the platform. Everyone was still quite excited about it. And that gave me tons of content ideas to experiment with. But to actually, I didn't start seeing real results until like 6 months in, because I will honestly admit my content at the start was quite bad. And I'm sure most people's will be when they first start out. So yeah, it wasn't until like 6 months in. And the thing is that I was doing this all on top of working full time.
Yes.
So I really had to be efficient with my AI processes. Like, my employers, me posting to LinkedIn wasn't part of my job at work. So everything I was doing was off my own back and just for my own career prospects. So yeah, to really excel on LinkedIn, it is, as cliche as it sounds, a consistency thing, just a everyday, I mean, at least 3 times a week grind to really kind of understand what content performs, how the algorithm works, but then also to build relationships with other people.
Mhm.
Because I think that is the biggest and most important part about LinkedIn. It's not like the other social media platforms, which I'm not sure, it's just so different in its own right, LinkedIn. So it took a long time to really build that sense of community and like devout supporters who will always show up and support me, which then helps my post reach more people.
And content-wise, you've
Mm.
mentioned, in the beginning you were using tools that were creating content that was quite grim. And then from there, you've obviously mastered the art, and that's something that you do now in your day to day as part of what you train people on and how you kind of help people to develop and better their content output and usage of AI. Where would somebody see benefits working with you? What do you do to help them kind of get to where they need to be?
Yeah, so I like to follow a framework which I've been leveraging for my own AI content, and it's called the Chef framework, which it starts with gathering insights. So you have to gather as much expert knowledge about the individual, and then you can upload this into a tool like BookLM, ChatGPT, or Claude projects, and this essentially gives the AI the context it needs to really, you know, not just generate generic fluff that anybody can type into a chatbot. It's, personal expertise knowledge, unique to this personal brand. So that's stage one, alongside actually studying what works with top performing creators and content types in your niche or industry. Then once you have all of this information, then you can generate the content. And obviously the content would be perfect on first instance. I mean, I typically like to follow AI sandwich approach. So I'll generate, and then I will have the human in the loop to create the design or to perfect the caption. And then, yeah, and then, no, sorry. So generate the design brief, have the human create the design, and then finally generate the post caption, obviously with lots of seasoning of human insight. And then, so yeah, we've generated it. Now we need to season the content, which is stage 4 of the Chef framework. And that's obviously adding your unique quirks, anything that kind of makes your brand unique, because you can prompt AI as much as you like to bring these outcomes, but it won't get it all the time. Like that email that you received yesterday or that moment that happened in your real life, like AI can't detect that. So that stage is your opportunity to really add in your and sprinkle in your unique seasoning into the AI mix. And then finally, the final stage is to serve. And this part is very human centric, and it comes down to the community building aspects. Because anyone can generate copy and post it online, but to actually like be around for 60 minutes a day, like you mentioned at the start, and to engage with your audience, talk to people in the DMs and build relationships, that is very human centric. And I think that is the most important part of the Chef framework. So yeah, it's something I like to follow for myself and my clients, and I find it works very well to bring the best human AI results.
And what tools do you typically use? I mean, that's a great framework for anyone who's sort of thinking about how they previously started to generate content. They're probably not giving it as much thought. They're probably looking at LinkedIn at the moment. And, I've, from an outsider looking in, sometimes I think it does look like everyone's automating everything.
Yeah.
So, there's too many tools and there's too many people. And it is, I had a client say to me the other day, it's like wallpaper. It is so overwhelming, the content that's being pushed through LinkedIn. How do you make sure that there's still a human element to what you do, and also that clients are kind of understanding how much involvement they need versus how much AI can be involved?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, for my own content, for example, all the content ideas do come from myself. I just add them all into a notes page. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think AI is the best for content ideation, because it likely will be quite generic. But with clients, it's quite easy just to have an hour-long meeting with them per month, and then to use the note taker transcription. I'm using Sybil, which is one of my favorite AI note takers. And then you have the full transcript. I mean, as long as you ask them the right questions, then you can literally turn that into a month's worth of content ideas. And then just use AI to flesh out those ideas, such as I have like specific GPTs to create infographic briefs, carousel briefs, and it does it relatively fast. You just copy in the transcript, and then you have a distilled piece of a content brief that you can then get a human to create. So it is a lot of ChatGPT, to be honest. That is my main squeeze and my favorite tool. It's always been the case. So yeah, ChatGPT, and then just all you need is really ChatGPT for the content generation, creating the captions and design briefs. Then a tool like Canva to create the designs, and then Notion for a content management system. Those are kind of like the three core tools that I use.
With ChatGPT, I just did a post about the different models. Which one do you use most of all?
I love O3 at the minute. It's crazy. I literally blow through all of my credits so fast. Then I'm stuck with 4.0, which was like, oh, it's just not the same. So yeah, O3 for everything. I maybe should be using 4.5 for creative writing, but yeah, O3 I absolutely love. What about you, Sarah?
I've as well was being pretty kind of like sticking to O3. And then I heard somebody who I listened to quite a bit, and he was suggesting that he used 4.5 for all of his creative writing, his like reporting, analytics. It's quite good at that. And I've been using it again, gone through my credits super fast, but it's been excellent. I've really noticed quite a difference in the output. So felt like I should share that one this week, because I was like, I don't know if that many people know the differences.
No, it's so confusing. I know that Sam Altman and the team are preparing to like consolidate them all probably into ChatGPT 5 in the coming months. But yeah, it's so confusing. They could have picked easier names to remember, for sure.
I know, and being like sequential in the releases, like that 4.5 is better than all of them, but no, it's like different it's for different folks, right? So it's just like something else. If you were, I know this is a question that I have been asking of people, and you're not allowed to say ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT full stop, but if you were on a desert island and they had banned ChatGPT from coming along, and you were only allowed one AI tool to come with you because this special island has Wi-Fi, what would it be?
Okay, and I can say any other LLM. Fine. Then it's Gemini, surprisingly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw the slew of releases that they've just launched with the I/O conference, which happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's seriously slept on. I used Gemini for a bit, and I really liked it at the start of last year. But I feel like it's crazy good. They've got like all the features ChatGPT does. Just I think ChatGPT and OpenAI really had that first mover's advantage. So it's kind of like slept on massively. Especially Google messed up with their initial launch of Bard. I'm not sure if people remember that, but it was tragic. It was so bad. So yeah, Gemini, 100%.
Not Claude.
I mean, I do Claude. It is good, but I just what it is about the writing style. People prefer Claude for creative writing, but I find it sounds a little bit robotic, and it doesn't have that same kind of deep reasoning model that ChatGPT and Gemini has. I know 3.5 Sonnet does have those capabilities, but I think if I was a developer, then I couldn't live without Claude. But as a kind of creative marketer, I think it's Gemini.
Okay, so you'll be on the island with Gemini. Got it. If we think about use cases of AI at the moment and your clients, I'm in Australia, you're in the UK. Talk to me. What is it like over there? Adoption rates within organizations. What is everyone using? How are they feeling about AI? And how are they practically, I know this is about 20 questions in one, but how are they practically bringing it into their organization so that they realize the benefit? We'll start with the first one. You're in the UK. I'm in Australia. What is the sentiment like over there for AI?
Yeah, I'd like to say it's, relatively ambitious for European standards anyway. I mean, we're nothing like the Americans, that's for sure. For Huts, they're AI crazy over there. I mean, I can only really think back to my time when I was employed full time because AI, like people were interested in using it, but only kind of a select few people within the company. This was like nearly a year ago now, so sentiment might have changed. But yeah, most people were just kind of like, oh yeah, AI, whatever. I even visited a prominent AI company's offices recently, and this general sentiment there was like they're all like, nah, we don't really use it much. I was like, I was
What?
shocked. Yeah, yeah. I was so shocked.
You're like, am
And
I in the
yeah,
right place? Do you guys know who you work for?
yeah, I was seriously surprised because I think obviously being on LinkedIn, I kind of being a solopreneur, I'm not really surrounded by people day to day. So I kind of live in this of people, everyone talk AI on LinkedIn. And I forget that a lot of people are kind of fearful about AI adoption and aren't really there yet. Like we talk about the open AI models like they're second nature, but yeah, lots of people just don't get it.
They don't. And what do you think the risk is with that in the current climate? If for companies that
Mm.
are like, you know what, I reckon we're okay for the moment, because I'm getting a bit of that. And I think there is no sense of urgency. Within the community, I think there is, but for companies, I don't feel like there is a massive sense of urgency. I think people are sneakily bringing it into the workplaces or doing it at home, kind of trying to cut some corners. What do you think it's like over there as far as adoption and what the next 12 months looks like?
I think most companies are kind of rearing their heads towards AI now. They have to. I mean, I'm shocked, but I think in actuality, implementing is quite a different challenge, to be honest. Like it really depends on like your data readiness and important things like that. Because hype is one thing, but actual practical implementation is a very different thing. Especially the fact most of it isn't really known at this point. It's all kind of I mean, big companies have started to release documentation, which helps, but it's all kind of confusing. So I think yeah, adoption is generally slower than I personally would anticipate, but it seems like it's inevitable and everyone is slowly getting there. But I think I've only ever worked for small businesses and never for like a big multinational company. I think that this is one of their biggest advantages that they have, AI, because with these big companies it takes like hundreds of meetings to get anything over the line, but if you're a small agile company, then you can bring in AI tools and solutions and really kind of use that as your competitive advantage. So I think yeah, it's a massive opportunity, especially for small companies.
And so on that, say you are a small company right now in the
Mm,
UK and you're not very technically savvy. In fact, you're a bit scared and you're
mm.
busy doing your own job because you small businesses, you do everything, you wear a million hats. How would you start to really position yourself for being successful with AI? What would be like some baby steps that you could take that would bring AI into your business and so you could realize some immediate or really quick wins?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would start with, noting down any repeatable processes, anything that can be outsourced by AI, because something as simple as like a custom GPT can really help expedite the process. I mean, I do it myself. I work with copywriters and they just use custom GPTs that I build. And that just kind of halves the time it would take. And um I think you can almost build a custom GPT for most things without any kind of complex integrations and etc. Just by speeding up the human, cutting the time for the humans there. So yeah, it's definitely building a custom GPT because I think lots of people are starting to build the first ones now, but I definitely start with that. And the best thing about these tools is that you can use AI to write the prompts most of the time. Like I love to use Claude to write custom GPT instructions. I'm not sure why it's better than ChatGPT, which is strange for
Yeah.
writing these. So yeah, definitely that. Just being aware of the new features and model updates by following people like Charlie Hills on LinkedIn. And
Tell me, for those who don't know, what is a custom GPT?
oh yeah, sure. It's like basically an AI assistant that can execute specific tasks for you just by giving it some custom instructions, such as you could build one for writing blogs, for writing newsletters, social media captions, And I'd highly recommend having a specialist GPT for each function and task, rather than having like a broad generalist one, which when I built my first, it was like a real generalist GPT and it wasn't amazing. But yeah, I have one for like, I have over a dozen that I've made and they're all for like specific actions. And yeah, it's native to ChatGPT, or if you hate ChatGPT, you could use Gemini Gems. Most other LLMs have an AI assistant feature like GPT. So yeah.
And how do you train it? How do you set it
Uh,
up?
Yeah, so I mean they're quite easy. Like you just include the custom instructions, which is basically like just a big prompt. And like I mentioned, you can use Claude to create the custom instructions, and it works very well because it includes like the language and the formatting rules called Markdown, which really helps the AI understand what you've told it to do. And then you just kind of add some file uploads which are relevant, such as past performing blog posts, subject lines, whatever has worked well in the past. You can feed that into the GPT or into Claude when building out these custom instructions, because then it can reverse engineer what's worked well. And then you can just continue to create, high quality content based on past performance. So yeah, super simple.
And do you believe that that's one sort of feature within ChatGPT that is really underutilized?
I think so, potentially by a lot of people. I think one of the bigger ones is projects, because
What's a project?
yeah, project is basically like an AI second brain, whereby you can upload as much file information into the project. And instead of just generating generic AI content, it will be very specific to you and your expertise and file uploads. And the thing I really like about the projects feature is that it will actually cite the file uploads in the content. So it's what you provided it with. And yeah, I find it super helpful for like, if I have a content idea, then I'll just sometimes put it into my project, and then based off the previous information that I provided it, which is usually in my LinkedIn posts. So it has like all this knowledge that I've posted to LinkedIn. I just export that, put that into a project, and then it will give me, a brief, a design brief, which is unique to what I've spoken about before, like listing my favorite tools, LinkedIn techniques, etc. I think that's probably one of the most underutilized features. It actually surprises me. Even like pro AI users, they're like, "Yeah, I've never opened up a project in ChatGPT before."
And how does that sort of vary from a custom GPT?
Yeah, so it's weird because like they are kind of related, and you think that you could use one, like they're kind of the same. But the thing is, a custom GPT you can share with absolutely anybody by just creating a link for it. Whereas with a project, you have to be signed in to the same ChatGPT or have a Teams account to use the same project. So projects is best for, content ideation or like just generally brainstorming. Whereas I find GPTs excel at the execution side of things for, so you could use the project to retrieve information to write a newsletter with, and you could use a custom GPT to format it in your, specific style for your newsletter. So they're kind of similar, but they're kind of totally different at the same time.
No, that's a very good explanation because I don't think many people are using either of them, to be honest. So if you're not using either, you should definitely give them a go. Projects as your little micro brain with all your sidekick with a lot of general, and you can put a whole lot of general stuff in there too, because it can be quite varied on a topic, and you just load it up and then ask it a heap of questions. Whereas a GPT is quite specific to a task, whether it be a social content creator or an analyst, if you want to go down that path. So there's certainly lots of things that you can do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that people neglect is that a GPT can actually act as a really powerful marketing engine for your business. If you can add your like LinkedIn profile, your website URL. So if you build a truly viral GPT, then and it's like thousands of interactions, then that's kind of free eyeballs on your business without having to to create any content or do any paid ads. It's probably it could be seriously powerful.
What are the types of things that you are finding businesses are asking you about AI in the UK at the moment that you would think, oh my goodness, I thought everyone knew this, that might be good to share and explain, because the likelihood is that people don't know it.
I mean, I had a client, he was saying, "Oh yeah, I want to build AI agents. Like they're the next thing," which they are. This year has proven it so far. But then he actually hadn't built a custom GPT yet, and I was like, "Yo, hang on a minute, like we're not going to advanced automation here if we had done like the basics." So I think that's what a lot of businesses are kind of wrapping their heads around, is that you can't just go straight into agentic AI without knowing how to do prompt engineering and the foundational aspects.
Yes. And speaking of which, you obviously use N8N for yourself, which is a wonderful tool to create, a whole host of different things, a whole host of agents. What is your favorite agent at the moment in your business that saves you stacks of time, other than, obviously you've got the GPTs that you use at the moment, which is obviously just AI. Agents are the thinkers and the doers. What do you use at the moment that really helps with the way that you do work?
Yeah, it's still quite nascent for me, to be honest, because I know that agents is, that's what I'm investing my time into now of this year, outside of client fulfillment. But yeah, I recently linked up my Claude to my Notion through MCP, which is quite an exciting thing. For those who don't know, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's like a universal language which AI tools can use to speak to one another. Rather than having like an integration here, there, everywhere, MCP is just like the same language, which it would help if us humans had that too, because that would be game changing to have the same language we could all speak. So
Google's just announced that today we can.
through Google Meet, isn't it?
No, it's translating any language that someone speaks to you into the language that they're speaking to it in. So it actually
In
is,
real time.
yeah,
Wow.
and
That is nuts.
contextual. Isn't that
Yeah, I
cool?
haven't actually seen like there's so many updates. It's hard to keep up with them all. Because that's how I always envision like the Ray-Bans, Meta Ray-Bans would play
Yeah.
out. They'd have like real-time language translation. But crazy. Okay, fine. Yeah, maybe we don't need MCP for humans. It's just real-time AI translation. That's nuts. But yeah, I'm not actually as agentic as like people might think I am, because I'm great with like generative AI and content, but the agent stuff is like, it's next level. I've never really enjoyed automation too much, but now I'm like, oh god, I really need to start enjoying it because it's the future. But yeah, N8N is my favorite tool for automation, no doubt,
Yeah.
and building these agents. But I find the quality can drop when it comes to creative writing and creative work generally. I
Yep.
think agents are excellent for like sales and project management, just moving things into places, etc. For actually like creative work, when I did it, I found that the quality did get worse. So I was like, I may as well just have a human in the loop using custom GPTs instead. So yeah, still early days for me, but I'm sure if we had this conversation in a year's time, then I could talk all about it.
You would be fully agentic.
Yeah, 100%. I would love to be. I know it's the next big thing I need to upskill myself in if I want to stay ahead of the curve with AI content.
Because I think it is a bit of a misnomer at the moment, particularly with the way that the community is very like, use this tool, use this platform, no code, no. You actually, I've come from, the pen and paper era, and you've had to really self-teach, and then you get to these kind of tools which are no code and very easy to use. And my experiences are quite hard sometimes to A, get them all to work, but B, to actually work out how to do it. I don't know if you have the same sort of experience.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm quite a visual person, so I really have to see it to believe it. And when it comes to like lines of code and just installing this thing, it's lucky ChatGPT is on call there to help me walk through the process,
Thank God.
which really does help. But totally, it's not easy as people think, and I think the terms agent is just thrown around quite heavily at the minute because it seems I mean, it's kind of like marketing, isn't it? You just use catchy terms and phrases, and it captures people's attention. But yeah, to build actually like true agentic systems, I think it's not as simple as a lot of these people are making us believe. So yeah, I 100% agree with you, Sarah. It's hard.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. What do you think people are doing as the biggest mistake on LinkedIn at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I mean, I think a big problem with LinkedIn is that some people, I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Some people will post to the platform for like 2 weeks, a month sporadically, and then expect leads generated instantly, where that's not really the case. I didn't see results until I was 6 months into my LinkedIn journey. And that's because, I played the long-term brand building game. And I think that's where the people go wrong because businesses need leads and they need them now. So people don't really have the patience to really invest in the long-term personal brand building game. I get, like you have, quarterly meetings and you're like, where should we dedicate our time and attention this quarter? And if LinkedIn doesn't bring you any leads immediately, then you're like, okay, let's pivot. That would be number one for me, without a doubt. And then besides that, it is very much like cookie cutter content and automating a lot of it. Guess it's for more kind of experienced LinkedIn users, but I see it all the time. People will literally automate the content creation process, automate like commenting, etc. And that can damage your brand reputation and ability to connect with your audience. And I think, that's why I've surprisingly done so well. I mean, I'm shocked at how good my follower growth and engagement rates are sometimes, but I believe people are genuinely invested in me and my journey. And I'm not just, promoting brands every day. I'm just leaving generic AI comments. It's kind of part of me and an extension of who I am. And yeah, I think those are the kind of the two biggest misconceptions with LinkedIn is one, you can generate leads instantly through content alone. And two, you can just kind of be I don't know what to call it, but just a robot, let's say.
Yes. In an environment that does not really allow robots, you can become.
Yeah.
But I do get a sense, like when you look at your content, it does feel like an extension of your brand. Like there's a personality at the other end, but what you and how you comment and how you engage is very on brand. And I think that that's something you've really nailed, that kind of 360 of everything that you're doing is adding to the equity that you're building in your own personal brand, which is why it's been so effective. I think there's a lot of content from a lot of thought leaders that is very faceless. It's very, here's an idea, here's another tool. How does this really connect?
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, that's what I kind of like brand deals as well. I won't promote anybody or a tool that I don't use, even if it means me leaving money on the table, because it has to kind of authentically fit into my tech stack and ecosystem. Otherwise, I'm just kind of like a walking advertisement for companies, which it in my brand any justice, and it doesn't do my audience any service either, because they're like, Charlie, which one is your favorite tool? You've just promoted 5 of them. Can you please just let us know your own take on this? So yeah, I think 100%.
Speaking of tech stacks, what do you use?
So it changes all the time, to be honest. But yeah, ChatGPT, of course.
What?
Yeah, always. Literally, like there was probably only 1 month which I switched to Claude or Gemini as kind of like my main go-to. But so yeah, ChatGPT, Notion, and Canva, like I mentioned earlier, they're 2 essential tools. I couldn't live without my Notion content management system. Just keeps myself and my clients so efficient. Because Notion does take a little bit of time to figure out how best to use it, but once you get over that learning curve, then it just, I couldn't live without it. I don't know what I would do. It'd just be like Google Docs and WhatsApp group chats. It just wouldn't be fun. Whereas everything can happen asynchronously over there on Notion. So besides those 3, it changes. Like Perplexity, I used to use a lot, which is an AI search. It's quite powerful, but since ChatGPT and O3 and all these models have got better with their search features, I find that I'm using it less and less. I mean, then there's like Veed, which I do work with, and I do use their tool quite regularly to like add subtitles, clean audio. One tool everyone always asks me about though is video as well, is Screen Studio. I don't know, it's kind of like a lesser known tool and it's Mac only, but people always ask me saying like, Charlie, how do you record those videos where like you zoom in seamlessly? And I use it for all my like workflow videos, and it just gives a real nice professional feel and look to them. So yeah, a combination of Screen Studio and Veed for videos. And yeah, I think that basically is my stack.
Well, what else do you need?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't do, like I said, social selling, and because I know Clay is a big one as well for data enrichment, but I personally don't use it, even though I do like it. I just don't use it.
Yeah, I see. I need to learn how to use it because everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, it's got quite a steep learning curve, I hear. I mean, my partner recently started using it, and yeah, they said that it took a bit of time to get their head around it.
Oh, great. To use tool that I've got here's some time to learn about. So let's talk about LinkedIn. You mentioned it before. Obviously, we've talked about the personal brand and your success on the platform is proof in the pudding that what you're doing now is working, right? And that personal brands succeed over time. It's not a quick win. If you think about Instagram and other platforms where the authentic is captured in, the selfie style videos, the more kind of authentic, and by authentic I mean like really a bit rough and ready, some of the content that is successful and entertaining. Do you feel like the platform will head down that path, or do you think it will continue to stick to being as sort of, it wants you to be authentic but it still expects you to be very professional and you're sort of like a newsreader? How do you kind of see the platform and the way that the trend will go for LinkedIn in the future and content?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't end up like Instagram or TikTok, because I've never really been able to excel on those platforms. I remember I tried to create a personal brand on Instagram, years before I ever started on LinkedIn, and it's so hard. One, because they're oversaturated, and two, because of the style you mentioned, that very much that selfie, like day in the life style type videos. Whereas, yeah, LinkedIn is way more kind of educational and informational, I could say, like cheat sheets, workflow videos, you name it. So I really hope end up like there's other platforms, because I think LinkedIn's very unique. Because I know, for example, the video feed, LinkedIn was putting a lot of attention onto that, but it seems to have dropped off recently, and we've kind of gone back to old ways with carousels performing. So I'm not so sure, to be honest, Sarah. I think I think it will. I think LinkedIn is very unique in that sense. It's a professional platform, and I'm sure we won't see like TikTok dances, stuff like that on there.
That'll be you next, Charlie. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could do it.
You and
I
your
don't mind.
clone, your AI clone.
I've done an AI rap. I'm not sure if you saw it, but you did it. Thank you. Yeah, no, it was fun to make. It actually just made me giggle so much. And that's when I know like my pinned comments on LinkedIn are good, is when I actually laugh at them myself. I know that my audience will like them too. So I don't think I think LinkedIn is the only B2B platform I want to say, especially with X. That Twitter used to be a big platform for B2B, but since it became X, I feel like less brands and businesses are generally interested on there. So I hope not. I feel like LinkedIn's so unique. It's the platform I love, and it feels like creators can also demand more, like a higher price on there too. Because I've seen like comparisons between like Instagram, TikTok and LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, like creators get paid, I think the same amount as people with 10 times their audience on Instagram. Yeah, because it's strictly like a B2B platform. So I just kind of like love that aspect of it.
Keep on keeping on. It's working. Well, the other thing I find is in the scroll, like when I'm
Yeah.
looking at my feed, the ads I stop on, I'm like, oh, they look out of place, are from LinkedIn.
Mm. Yeah, no, I hate
These
those.
very selfie sort of style ads that are talking about LinkedIn. And I always think to myself, is this where this is going? Because I'm from Instagram Reels. Now I'm here and I'm thinking, well, this is a bit cash. So I don't know. I just thought, in your opinion, is that where it's going? Are we going to be doing some very authentic in the car posts?
Yeah, I mean, potentially. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're seeing more and more like, selfies, etc., kind of taking over LinkedIn. Now I think they seem to work quite well. I mean, for some people, but God knows.
What should I do, Charlie? What do I need to do?
I guess, just selfies, a few hooks, like, and then
And then,
there we
you
go.
never know. What would be the one piece of advice that you would give to a founder, a small business, or just anyone in an organization at the moment who hasn't started their AI journey? What advice, and they're very overwhelmed, what advice would you give to them about succeeding with AI?
Yeah, I would definitely start by checking out the OpenAI Academy that recently launched. I think that is a very valuable resource because they've got like a module on basic prompt engineering, advanced prompt engineering, and because everything comes down to prompting ultimately, like how we prompt image generation and video generation models, how we prompt agents. These are all is all down to the foundational skill of prompt engineering. So if you haven't already mastered that, or at least tried to, then I think that is a skill which, will still be very important in 5 years to come, because AI can generate prompts for you, but to actually know how to interpret it is even like AI generated copy and AI generated code. The people who make the most out of it are the ones who know what's good and what's bad, rather than just simply relying on AI to generate it for them. So yeah, learning how to prompt, I think, is absolutely essential, and just staying aware of all the latest AI updates, because it moves bloody fast.
Yes, I know. Hence, so overwhelming.
It
Well,
is.
thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm sure that there are so many really good tips and tricks that people can apply in their day to day, and it's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you.